Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be with you today. Thank you for joining us. I want to start with some acknowledgments. First, please welcome Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli. Syosset High School graduate, Senator Michael Ransenhofer. Assemblyman Stephen Hawley. Department of Agriculture Commissioner Richard Ball. Dude, that wasn't funny. Genesee County Manager Jay Gazelle. Batavia Council President Eugene Jankowski. Batavia City Manager Jason Molino. And our partner in economic development in this region extraordinaire, Genesee County Economic Development Corporation President Steve Hyde. Today, of course, we're here to talk about HP Hood. No doubt you've seen Hood products in your stores and you're familiar with them. And of course, they include cottage cheese, sour cream, milk, chocolate milk, low-fat chocolate milk, double chocolate milk in small containers, big monstrous jugs of chocolate milk. And you know their logo, that iconic oval red logo. And I want to share with you their tagline, which is fabulous: always good, always good. Excellent. And of course, always good, always Hood is true today, as the governor and Hood have some very good news for you. Let me tell you a little bit about Hood. The company was founded in Massachusetts back in 1846, but today this New England company is a national brand distributing dairy products throughout the country. They've also spread their operations into New York State with 4 manufacturing locations here in upstate New York. Now, we're not that competitive. We're very gracious, but I just want you to know they make a lot more product in New York State than they do in Massachusetts. Agriculture is, as you know, an incredibly important part of the Finger Lakes region's plan and plays a vital role in the economy here. And this latest investment by the state and by Hood shows that our multi-pronged strategy for economic development and growth is working. With that, I am going to have the pleasure and privilege to introduce Jeffrey Caneb, Executive Vice President of Hood.
Well, thanks, Howard, and welcome, Governor, welcome, Commissioner, and welcome to all of you. It's a great day to be here, and find it just a real privilege and an honor to be here with all of you to celebrate Hood's arrival to the Batavia community. We're very, very excited to have this opportunity to grow our business here. And we're very, very grateful for the support that we've gotten from the governor's office, from his staff, from the county, from the entire community in getting us to this point. We look forward to becoming a supportive member of this community, a good neighbor, and an employer of choice here in Batavia. You stole my speech about HP Hood, so I think that this makes my remarks very brief, so I'll hand the stage back to you, Howard. So thank you very much And again, welcome.
It was just 2 weeks ago that we announced a deal to save 150 at-risk jobs, as I think you know, in Campbell, the Kraft plant that was the fourth of 4 plants that were at risk that the governor put an extraordinary focus on saving. So we were very proud of that. And it's just another example of how important the dairy ecosystem and the dairy industry is to upstate and is to the governor. So I want to thank Governor Cuomo for his leadership, his strategic vision, and his extraordinary commitment to upstate. I think we have never truthfully had a governor who has had the kind of focus not only on the dairy industry, but on the entire upstate economy. That's why I do the job. Downstate really for a while has done well. All of us upstate, and I'm your upstate cousin, just down the road in beautiful Buffalo. We needed some extra TLC, and we've gotten a lot of TLC from the governor. And so because of that, it is always a great privilege and a great pleasure to introduce the best friend upstate New York has ever had, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. What an exciting day. What a good news day. What a beautiful day. First to Howard Zemsky, who always does a great job. Let's give the commissioner a round of applause. Apparently, the commissioner went to the same high school as Senator Rosenhofer. I don't want to know what happened in that high school at that time. To Mr. Kaneb, it's a pleasure to have Hood here, and let's give Hood a big welcome. We have with us a very important person from the Assembly. If you just ask him, he'll tell you so. Assemblyman Leader Joe Morelli, pleasure to be with you. Senator Rosenhofer, who's forgotten his high school days, good to be with you, Michael. Assemblyman Steve Hawley, pleasure to be with you, Steve. And a great public servant, great mayor of Rochester, phenomenal lieutenant governor, my buddy Bob Duffy. Good to be with you. And we have our Commissioner of Agriculture, Commissioner Ball. Pleasure to be with you, Commissioner. Today really tells the story of everything that we've been doing. It's about the new recognitions that we've realized in the state of New York. The first new recognition is focus on the economy. It's about jobs, jobs, jobs. If you are creating jobs, if government is working to create jobs, then everything is going to take care of itself, because the economy is the engine that pulls the train, period. If you have jobs, people have a future, people are optimistic, people are moving in, there's a local tax base for the county, for the villages, et cetera. So focus on jobs. That was the first recognition, which led you to the second recognition, which was New York was not only not focused on jobs, they were actually doing things that were counterproductive. You keep raising taxes, you make it difficult for businesses to be here. I'll tell you what's going to happen. At one point, they're going to leave. And they did. We had what I call a hangover New York arrogance. Well, we're New York. The businesses will stay here. Where else are they going to go? There are actually other places they can go. You look at a map. You will see around the state of New York other shapes, squares or triangle. Those are called other states. If you force people, they will leave New York. And we have essentially forced people. And it's been anti-business, high tax environment, high regulation environment. And we changed that. We brought down the spending to the state, in the state of New York, to record lows. Year to year, the increases in the state of New York for the past 7 budgets 2%. 2%, year to year. How low is 2%? Lowest in recorded history. That's how low 2% is. Why is it important? Because when you control government spending, then you can reduce taxes. And we've reduced taxes all across the board. Every income tax rate in the state of New York is lower today than it was 7 years ago. Every rate for every individual. Middle class rate, up to $300,000. Lowest tax rate since 1947. How can that be? It is. No adjustments, no COLA, no adjusted for inflation. Straight rates, lowest middle class rate since 1947, lowest corporate tax rate since 1968, lowest manufacturing rate since 1917. And then there was another recognition, which was symbolized and materialized in my first Lieutenant Governor, Bob Duffy, who came with me to Albany for one reason, from Rochester, to say to Albany, there is a place called upstate New York that I want to introduce you to, and which you have been neglecting for a long, long time. And that is the truth. State government in Albany was too focused on downstate New York. And it was upstate New York that needed help. It was upstate New York where the businesses were hemorrhaging, and the manufacturing economy was over, and upstate New York needed now to recalibrate, and the state government was nowhere around. They were too focused on downstate. And now Joe Morelli and Steve Hawley and Mike Rosenhofer had an advocate in the governor and the lieutenant governor in saying, we're going to invest in upstate New York. And when Howard Zemsky says, I've been the best friend to upstate New York, what he means is, I have given upstate New York, my administration, more funding than any governor in the history of the state of New York. And that's what I'm proud of. $25 billion. The Finger Lakes region has received about $4 billion in assistance. We also do it a different way. We don't tell you how to use the money from Albany. We ask the businesses in the Finger Lakes to come up with your own plan, and we'll then fund your economic development vision. The plan that Finger Lakes has come up with is called Finger Lakes Forward. Bob Duffy's been very involved with it. And it is a very diversified plan. It builds on the tech sector. It builds on the tourism center, which is a big, big driver for this region. It builds on wine and beer, where we have made phenomenal progress in the number of wineries and breweries and cideries, and tying that into economic development. But it also builds on the main engine, which is agriculture. You know, people forget what agriculture is to the Finger Lakes, and what the dairy industry is to the Finger Lakes, which is the largest engine within the agricultural economy. It is a $3 billion business, dairy, in the Finger Lakes. The Finger Lakes produce more milk than not only any other part of the state, but if the Finger Lakes were considered as a state itself, it would be number 14 in the nation in milk production. Just think about that. So everything we can do to incentivize and build the dairy industry, we have been doing. That's why we've been so aggressive in Greek yogurt and seducing and developing Greek yogurt companies here. We now develop more Greek yogurt in New York than Greece develops Greek yogurt, believe it or not. I've eaten more than my share because I am a patriotic New York kind of guy. But why Greek yogurt? Because Greek yogurt uses dairy, and by the way, Greek yogurt uses much more milk than regular yogurt, eight times more milk for the Greek yogurt. So we're trying to stimulate that dairy industry, and that's what brought us to the yogurt industry. But what we're talking about here today is exactly in line with that. In and of itself, this is going to be a great facility, generating over 200 jobs with a $200 million investment by Hood in this facility. This will develop 500 construction jobs and 230 permanent jobs. And it will synergize the dairy industry because it's a key component to keeping that cycle of the dairy industry running. So it just fits perfectly for the Finger Lakes on a number of levels, both in and of itself and what it's going to mean to the entire industry. So we are very, very excited about it. There's also a lesson here, and I want to applaud Genesee County and Steve and what they've done on the economic development side. And I want to applaud ESD and Commissioner Zemsky, because this is a facility that is being repurposed. We originally had started working on development with the Mueller Yogurt Company, which was owned by Pepsi. And this is a repurposed facility. But Genesee County and the state of New York stayed at it. They had vision, they had tenacity, and they have taken this facility. The facility is actually now going to be more developed and more sophisticated and create more jobs, and in some ways actually do more for the dairy industry. But if you want to be in the economic development business, you have to get accustomed to the adjustments. You know, you have only 50% of the businesses that are started exist after 5 years. 50%. By the time you get to the 10-year mark, only 1/3 of the businesses remain. So that is the nature of the business. And in the state of New York, we're doing economic development. We're creating hundreds of businesses. We're creating thousands of businesses. Well, then you have to be prepared to have that number of defaults, because that is the way the world works. But the trick is keep the fundamentals sound, keep taxes low, stay pro-business, sell, 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 because every state is competing for businesses, and they don't come knock on your door. You have to go knock on their door, and be more aggressive and keep the fundamentals in place, and you will find a second company and a third company and a fourth company. But it takes effort, and that's what Genesee County did, and that's what the Empire State Development Corporation did. So let's give them a round of applause. It's another good day. It's another good day that shows the arrows are pointed in the right direction when it comes to economic development and job creation. The state just hit a new high, new historic high in the number of private sector jobs in the state. 8 million jobs, the highest number of private sector jobs in the history of the state of New York. Western New York, the unemployment rate tells the story. When we started 6 years ago, it was 8%. It's now down to 5%. And the statistic I love the best, because it goes not just to the head, but to the heart. When we started, Western New York, upstate New York, was a place that young people were leaving. And everywhere you heard the same story, that people's children were leaving because they wanted to find a future and they wanted to find jobs, and the jobs in the future were somewhere else. It wasn't in Buffalo, it wasn't in Rochester, it wasn't in Utica. That story has changed. The young people are now coming home. Young people are now coming to Buffalo and Western New York and Rochester to start their careers. We're attracting young people from outside New York who are now coming here to relocate. And to read these stories about Western New York as the hot place to locate a business and the hot place for young people to come and to be the cool downtown area, boy, we've come a long way in a short period of time. So now we just have to keep it going. And with Hood today, this is a great, great step in the right direction. So again, congratulations to Genesee County, congratulations to ESD, job well done, and welcome to the Hood company. I'm with Howard. We're not competitive, but I love that we have more HUD factories in New York than Massachusetts. Congratulations to all.
Thank you, Governor. Just a couple of brief comments in closing. One, my oversight, I want to recognize Greg Post, Batavia Town Supervisor. Greg. Also, I want to acknowledge Dairy Farmers of America, Rick Smith. I don't know if anyone's here from DFA, but they've been such great partners. Thank you. They've been such great partners in all that we do upstate here. Thank you for that. And I kind of glossed over Richard Ball, who's the Commissioner of Agriculture, because the Commissioner's Economic Development and Agriculture, while we work together, of course, cooperatively and professionally, we also compete with each other for, you know, the Governor's respect and attention. And the fact that he's going to be on the cover of Commissioner's Quarterly really upsets me. But he earned it. I came in, I think, 7th in the balloting, but he won, and he deserves it. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and you all know him in the ag industry. Let's one more time for Commissioner. And finally, one last thank you to both, of course, the Governor for his extraordinary commitment to this industry and to upstate, and also, very importantly, to Hood for making the private investment. The Governor talks about private sector jobs for a reason. That's what drives the economy. And it's great that New York has a record number of private sector jobs. We couldn't do it without people who take risk and compete effectively and believe in this state and believe in upstate. So let's hear it for the Governor and for Hood. And with that, thank you very much for coming. You've been a great audience.